Pelamon Harrison was a gentleman undertaker by trade, living in the quiet Sussex countryside, but by inclination he was also a keen investigator of hauntings. He had first come to Elliot O'Donnell's attention when, some years earlier, Harrison had written in his defense after O'Donnell's novel For Satan's Sake drew fire in the religious press. Since then, Harrison had sent the novelist detailed reports of every ghostly disturbance he'd encountered, and on one late afternoon he received from his housekeeper the most extraordinary summons of all. He had been sitting in his office, reading Edgar Allan Poe, when the telephone at his elbow rang. "Hello? Who's there?" he answered. On the line came the crisp, familiar tones of Phoebe Hunt, his housekeeper. "Nothing wrong," she assured him. "Only a queer-looking gentleman just called, most anxious to see you. He says he's been told about you by Mr. Elliot O'Donnell, and he wants you to go at once to a house in Regency Square, Brighton. He insists it's very badly haunted." When Harrison pressed for the visitor's name, Mrs. Hunt spelled it out carefully, Nimkin. With a promise to consider the matter, Harrison rang off, but the single word Nimkin seemed to echo in his mind. In his account book he tried to focus on figures, yet every sum he scratched into the page morphed back into that name, until at last, unable to resist the summons, he threw down his pen, donned hat and coat, and by 7 o'clock that evening he was standing before the house in Regency Square. All its blinds were drawn, stillness lay over the facade. Unsure if he had the right address, Harrison knocked on the door of the neighboring house and asked the servant if she knew where Mr. Nimkin lived. She shot back, "Not in heaven. He lived here until his wife's death, but moved across town afterward. He died himself a few days ago. His funeral was this afternoon." She leaned forward, voice dropping. "The house has been empty ever since, and folks say it's haunted. I've heard noises." When Harrison asked after children, she shook her head. There were none. And he left all his money to the consumptives' hospital. His wife died of consumption. At Harrison's matter-of-fact remark that a cough kills consumptives, the girl shuddered. It was her cough that killed her, an awful, hacking sound, she whispered, worse than any death rattle. Yet when Harrison inquired politely who held the keys, she seemed horrified. "You don't really mean to go in there, do you?" At his assurance that he only wished to look at the property, he wasn't a burglar, she laughed uneasily. Told him the sale had cleared out all the furniture except the blinds, and that a new owner was due to move in soon. With a terse thank you, Harrison withdrew, puzzling over the young woman's fright. Unable to shake the mystery, he strolled along the seafront until 9 o'clock, then slipped through the iron gate of the square and crept round to the back of the empty house. Finding one window catch unfastened, he raised the sash and climbed inside, torch in hand. The moment he crossed the threshold, he knew something was wrong. A chill filled the rooms. Shadows seemed to pool and stir. As he stepped into what must have been the late Mrs. Nimkin's bedroom, a weird, shapeless silhouette slid from the wall. Yet it was not the only apparition. From its hiding place, a cough rang out. A nervous, insistent hack, hack, hack. And when Harrison moved on, the shadow and the cough followed him from room to room, an inescapable echo of mortality. At first the relentless hacking irritated him. It was like nails on stone, but in time it stoked a furious rage. "Damn you! Stop that infernal hacking!" he roared, stamping hard on the floor as though to crush the phantom. In a blind fury he dropped to his knees, drew his clasp knife, and stabbed at the darkness itself. Still the cough went on, tireless, mocking. Harrison, panting and cursing, cut at the shadow until a taxi drew up outside with a sudden roar, and the front door bell gave a sonorous burr. Reluctantly, he answered. On the doorstep stood a chauffeur in uniform. "You've the wrong house," Harrison snapped. "No taxi wanted. Isn't this number 17? The man persisted. "A gentleman on the other side told me to fetch a lady and a Mr. Harrison from this address. He said the gent's name was Harrison, Pelamon Harrison, I think, and to bring them here." Harrison frowned. "Extraordinary. I know of no such gentleman, and there's certainly no lady here." "Maybe she's gone," the chauffeur said with a sneer. "She was here a moment ago." Then, as if on cue, the coughing came again, from the taxi, from behind the closed door. Hack, hack, hack. Harrison stood, frozen, torch trembling in his hand, as the disembodied cough echoed through the empty square. No living soul remained in that house, only the restless spirit of the consumptive woman, doomed to repeat her final, dreadful sound for all eternity. And Pelamon, Harrison, Undertaker, and skeptic alike, never forgot the night when a ghost's cough led him to confront the very shadow of death itself. Is that scratch at your window the wind, or the same ragged cough that drove Pelamon Harrison to his knees? Drop your own ghostly encounters, whispered theories, or half-heard footsteps in the comments below, and if, as you type, you catch a tremor in the floorboards or a chill brush past your ear, pause and count your breaths. If you're brave enough to keep the lantern lit, hit like and share this tale with fellow seekers of the uncanny. Then press subscribe and ring the bell. Every new story we unearth summons fresh echoes from the other side, and you'll need every flicker of light for what's coming next. Remember, hauntings don't die with the dawn. When the night deepens and a lone cough rattles the silence, know this: you never really leave Regency Square, and neither does it leave you. Come back if you dare, for more tales from Britain's haunted tales.